First things first, guys. How are you?
Good.
Good.
We're good, thank you.
It's good to be here in Holland. It's nice to get out of London. Good to get out of the house, isn't it?
Mm.
You say it's nice to get out of London. That's where you obviously wrote and recorded the album. So now, are you a bit sick of London because of that whole process? Or?
Yeah, I think London has the ability to make you fall in and out of love with it almost on a daily basis, really. So I think it would be unfair to just say categorically that we are sick of London. We're not. Sure. We love London, but I mean it's like any relationship. There's definitely a bit of love and a bit of hate there.
It's a lovely place to fly into. It's an even nicer place to fly out of.
But you both, if I'm correct, both grew up there?
Yes.
So how, if you look back, has the city, because it is one of the metropolitans of the world, has it influenced the way you approach your music?
Definitely, yeah. Perhaps in ways it would be hard to really say, but I think everywhere you are influences your music. The last album we made in Austin, Texas, and that had a big impact on the songs we were writing. So I think environment plays a huge part.
And well, you say Redlands was recorded in Texas, America.
Yeah.
So was it important for you to go back to London to do the new album?
Yeah, in hindsight, yeah. We needed to kind of get back home, and we built our own studio for this album, and we needed to do that for many reasons. And I think we didn't intend on making a London record, but that was where we were. That was what we had to sort of get on with, and
I think travelling is a really important part of, providing you with the experiences, required for writing. I think you get a lot of impressions kind of touring, turning up in different places and playing shows and travelling. But I think sometimes it's almost like you're kind of going around filling up a scrapbook with ideas, but then you need to go to somewhere familiar to kind of draw those things together and turn it into something cohesive. And home is a good place to do that, I guess. It's quite sometimes it can be a bit confusing to figure out where home is exactly. But who was it that said home is embodied in the sound of your mother's voice, which for me is France. But
but you say then that there was no intention to make it sound like a London record. Was there an intention or intent at all?
What is a London record? What even is a London record? I mean,
post dubstep.
Post dubstep, yeah. London record is post everything, really. I mean, it's a massive melting pot. But sorry, I interrupted you. What was it?
But so was there any intent at all when the process, so to say, or the writing process for the new record started?
Yeah, we had a few discussions about the direction of the record, and I think we knew we wanted to write songs in a fresh way and tackle our subject matter from not just our own subjective perspective, but with more perspective, more zoomed out, if you like, more of a sense of scale.
I think scale is a really good word because, I think someone asked me the other day what Curve of the Earth is about, and I think when we started writing, we were talking a lot about, are we making like a space rock record, and maybe when we started, I thought, maybe it's a song about outer space. But now I think with some perspective, it's about inner space as well, and it's about, I think, needing to go to a higher vantage point to be able to look back, and I think, you know, with a lot of the imagery we've used on the record in the artwork, you know, we've used NASA photography, and which obviously is looking, a lot of it looks out to space, which once upon a time was the great mystery. But I think what sort of, you know, perhaps become more apparent is that in recent times is that, you know, this kind of, we are the great mystery. You know, actually what's happening on Earth is even more mysterious than what's happening out there, because this might be all there is. But you need to go out there to be able to look back.
What about the little green blob men? What about them?
Well, they're all around us.
Don't forget them.
But I think that idea of scale was a real theme for us, and perspective, and, you know, starting with the first track on the album, Telomere, you know, in some respects that's kind of looking at life on a kind of microscopic level. But then something like Saturnine, which is on the flip side of the record, that song kind of is written almost from a you know, much further out perspective, and I think between the microscopic and the sort of the micro and the macro, there's you know, there's so many vantage points to write from. So I think that's kind of a running theme on the record.
Now, in hindsight, do you know why you arrived on this theme of scale and perspective?
I think we'd been around as a band for roughly 10 years, or have been around for roughly 10 years, and that...
Wikipedia says 20, but I don't know where they got that from.
Yeah, well, that's actually true. I mean, that is true.
You don't want to know what we sounded like 20
Yeah.
year ago.
It's not pretty.
How old were you?
Pretty.
Because you started quite young, right?
Yeah, we started the band when we were at primary school, really. We've been called the Mystery Jets since we were 8 years old. Actually, we were called the Misery Jets at the beginning, but I misspelt it on our bass drum, so it became the Mystery Jets.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, you did. I totally lost my track now. Yeah, I think it came about because we were at the close of touring the last record. We were at the end of a kind of junction. We were at the end of a chapter, and we didn't really know what we were going to do, what we were going to write about. We knew we wanted to do something grand with a sense of scale and something beautiful and cinematic and real. But we didn't really know how to go about that. And I think it became apparent the more that we tucked ourselves away and wrote music and wrote lyrics that actually what the record was going to be about was our experiences. And also the album's a kind of study, if you like, an analysis of the last 10 years of experience that the band has been through, be that experiences of relationships or experiences of loss or experiences of longing or memory or all sorts of things that sort of are involved in being in what you feel as a human. So I think it took a while to make the record, roughly 2.5 years, and that was largely because we were reflecting on what we'd been through, because a door was closing, if you like, and that also I think was represented by our bass player Kai leaving as well, in a roundabout way, although he left a little bit before we begun writing this record. But it just felt like the end of one thing and the beginning of another thing, really. So